A little while back, I was talking with my mother, and she shared with me that when she was carrying me in her belly, it was like she was carrying a ball of light in her womb. She gave me the middle name Joy for this reason, and I lived up to it. A rosy-cheeked grin was always on my face as a kid. Even though I seemed unstoppably happy and optimistic, I grew up in a home subjected to explosive anger and violence. The worst of it came from my oldest sister, who emotionally and physically abused me daily. My parents, having tried and failed to get her behavior under control, eventually just gave up, leaving me to fend for myself. By the time I got to high school, my self-esteem was non-existent, and I felt bloated with a lifetime of stifled emotions and pain. Sophomore year hit, and the dam burst. I was sent into a spiraling depression. In an attempt to relieve some of the building pressure, I took up a self-harm practice. Cutting myself was a ritual of relief. It was as if the blood from my arms relieved some of that building pressure that I was feeling suffocated by. It was around that same time that I met a friend who offered another opportunity of relief through alcohol. And I loved drinking at first. I could be whoever I wanted. I could be confident. My friend told me that I should lose my virginity and start hooking up. So dutifully, I did just that and started sleeping with whoever wanted me. I didn't like sex, but I hoped eventually I would like it. I hoped that maybe eventually at least I would feel something when I had sex. I was honestly numb to most things. I was on a cocktail of mood stabilizers and antidepressants, and my prescriptions mixed with my anorexia meant that when I drank, I was pretty much a guaranteed blackout. The thing is, I didn't really mind blacking out all that much, because it made it easier to go to bed with these guys I otherwise couldn't stand. Eventually, though, it became too much, and I hit a dangerous emotional low. I decided I was done hooking up altogether. The next party I went to, I told everybody there about my new boundary, maybe the first boundary I'd ever set for myself. When a group of guys showed up way later to the party, I was already trashed, but I went up to say hi to them anyway and tell them the same thing I told everybody else. They were making these crude and suggestive jokes towards me, and I told them to go fuck themselves instead. The problem was, they had planned to fuck me that night, and they didn't like my new boundary. I was raped. Those 4 guys ran train on me in the bathroom. When I woke up, I could barely remember anything, but my whole body was sore. I called my friend to come get me, but she wanted nothing to do with me. She said I was a slut, and that I'd fucked the guy she had a crush on the night before. I started to panic what the fuck had happened. And in desperation, I called my dad to come get me. When I got home, I went to my ritual, to my blood, but it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough to take away this pain, this shame, this emptiness. Nothing could ever be enough. I decided I was going to try and take my life. Now, following through with the decision to kill myself challenged me, but it was nothing compared to failing at it. I found myself in my own personal hell. The fire in my gut demanded I find a toilet quick, and between puking up pills, I was bombarded by my darkest memories. It was like the worst trip imaginable, but I couldn't get out. There was no sobering up. This was my life, and I couldn't escape. My mom found me like that and brought me to the ER. I was sent to an inpatient psychiatric unit. When I got there, they asked me what had happened, and I couldn't bring myself to say the word rape. I thought it was my fault, That's what all my friends had said. But I needed help, and I wanted to receive what was being offered. I realized there that I wanted to find a desire to live. And I'd made a decision that I would give 110% to finding that desire. When I got home, my new resolve was immediately put to the test. In the 2 weeks that I had been gone, recovering from my suicide attempt, a video had been circulating of what was being called the train bang. It had become a legend at the high school. And one of the guys involved, my friend's crush, had named me the conductor and was following me around town with his friends to harass me when I went out in public. Now, maybe before this would have been enough to break me, but I had already been broken. I went about as far into the darkness as anyone can go. Most people don't come back from there. Dealing with this shit was really fucking hard, but I would survive it. And I did. I still don't fully know what got me through that time. I know a part of it was just pure anger at the injustice of it all. Another part was this little voice that came into my head one day while I was contemplating what the fuck I was supposed to do with my life now that I wasn't even allowed to be dead. This voice said to me, "You've got nothing left to lose, sweetheart." And I thought to myself, doesn't that mean I have everything to gain? I started mulling over the potential options and outcomes, eventually landing on the most optimistic. What if I could take all of the shit that I've been given and turn it into gold? So the more shit that I've been given, the more gold I can make. Well, that means I'm sitting on a fucking gold mine.